good afternoon, good whenever it is you are listening to this. Thank you very much for listening to this. You are checking out yet another Ook in Bacht, and now you get to know what Jake Thompson the Ninja looks like.
I don't think we're quite socially distancing.
I think as long as we don't
like
tongue punch each other's dirt stars while we're coughing, we should be okay. By the way, if you're not familiar with the reference, it's a reference to rim jobs.
Oh, yes.
We can't hit this.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right.
Weird times. We're living in weird times nowadays.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I think right now what makes it really tough for me, and I feel like the majority of people probably feel the same way, except people that are very politically sort of influenced. But like for regular kind of middle of the road, I like some of these ideas. I like some of these ideas. People, like, I don't know who to believe. Like I got the president coming out, and either he's got this, and it's not a big deal, and it's like, well, yeah, no, okay, it's a little tough, but don't worry, we're on it. Everybody that needs everything's getting everything. Don't worry, I got it. Or like he's just totally full of shit.
I'm just gonna go with yes on all of that.
Yeah.
I have very smart people that I listen to that say that a lot of the reaction is overblown. That it's very much, I think the term they're using is plandemic.
Yeah.
Which brings up a whole other host of issues, and we'll get to those. But if this is a flu that is more contagious than the average flu, but if you do the regular things you're supposed to do to ward off the flu, you are less likely to be infected or have your life influenced by it. The flip side of that is if you have 16 pre-existing conditions, and a lot of the information that's coming out now, especially out of Italy, is that a lot of these people who are passing away from COVID-19, they're old and have a lot of underlying health issues. They're people with 14 different types of cancer, and it's the idea of healthy people getting sick from this is more rare occurrence than what you're hearing.
That's the part that's tough, because that's the other side of this, right? It's the boy who cried wolf syndrome. Like, eventually there was a wolf. Do you want to be the one that was like, man, we were wrong that time? Or was it fine to be wrong like the entire way through? Like, would you rather approach this from a, we totally overreacted? Or would you like to, say it's like, oh, maybe we underreacted,
Well, I think it's a fine balance, right? Because every time you go out now and every time you interact with someone, it's almost like you're having unprotected sex, but you're having unprotected sex with everyone that they've had unprotected sex with.
6 feet apart.
At 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So it creates a lot of unease. Like back in the day, you could just wear a condom and be fine, but now it's like everybody's got the AIDS, or the AIDS is everywhere. And you used to be able to, and this is the keeping yourself from AIDS rationale of the 90s, was like, well, if they seem like a person that sleeps with only, smart, well-protected people who always use protection, then of course she meant it when she said that she never does this sort of thing. And of course you meant it when you lied to her and told her you never do this sort of thing. And of course you were both telling the truth when you decided to not strap up.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know. There's an app for that now.
There is. Although it's, my understanding is now in California, you can be HIV positive. You do not have to disclose that to the person you're having sex with. You can knowingly risk infecting them with HIV, and it's no longer a crime. We have people, the same token, that are coughing on fruit.
Yes.
So is that a crime?
It's a tough one.
Should that be treated like a crime?
I think you can make the argument, But then, how difficult of a case would that be to, to actually try? Because there has to be some kind of like accidental cough on the fruit clause. Because we all can't always control our, if someone made good effort to try to not cough on the fruit, you wouldn't want those people doing 5-10 years, same as you would the intentional fruit coughers.
I don't know. If knowingly giving someone HIV isn't a crime in California, then I don't think that neither should be like coughing and spitting on fruit.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know.
I never thought I'd be able to have this conversation.
I honestly, I have felt so positive in my political beliefs up to this moment in time. It's like I find myself, being like, capitalism just doesn't really work right now.
Well, okay, this brings me to brings up a concept, the Medicare, Medicaid for all idea. If healthcare is a right, then isn't self-care a responsibility? For example, it's going to cost a whole lot to keep someone alive who's got a whole bunch of illnesses that, for the most part, are not things that you get by happenstance. Like, very few people have, as far as I know, hereditary diabetes, and I'm sure I'm going to get beaten in the comments for this. But
well, only if you had listeners.
Only if I had listeners. Luckily, it's just you and I.
And we're still going to beat each other up.
Yeah, because it's what you do.
Yeah.
So
worst podcast ever, bro.
You suck at life. Dude.
When are we doing this again?
Yeah, because this is media is essential.
Yeah.
And we're essential.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, isn't media really the only thing right now?
I think so, yeah. It's
media and food, and I'm pretty sure we could handle the food with robots.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
You could get the schnitzel bomber with robots. You need heart and soul in that food. But generally speaking, yeah, like, if you are the manager of McDonald's and you have a crew of people that are scared to get sick, because this is human nature. They are interacting with everybody every day.
Yes.
Right?
And so sick people have to eat too. And honestly, if you're sick and you're starving, you're probably gonna
go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the easiest, most convenient
you'll
thing.
be fast food. You'll infect the least amount of people.
You'll be giving them cash too.
Yeah.
But even if you don't know you're sick, I mean, just it goes back to I didn't know I had AIDS.
Yeah.
But
plausible deniability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But these are real people with real emotions and real feelings, and if you think that the cat like dropping the fries at McDonald's right now isn't scared shitless about interacting with some other cat who's scared shitless and doing it 1,000 times a day. By the way, shout out to the only 4 people who have been confirmed. I don't know, 4 in Kenai, right? It's like 19.
Day ain't over yet.
No, it's like 19 on the peninsula or something like that.
Yeah.
Some number. I was excited when we were at the state level. We had 69.
Yeah. Well,
when we hit the day with 69 confirmed cases, I was like, it's not going to last, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here.
I held that up to a friend and said, the newspaper, and said, you gotta giggle.
69 got to the front page, and we spoke a little bit before we started about the city of New York's health department. They gave out sort of a guidelines. They released a memo, things you could, shouldn't do, and I'm fairly certain making out with strangers was in there. Don't do that. But one of the big ones, no rim jobs. Rim jobs are bad. The fact that rimming was at all noted in official documentation from the city of New York.
Especially when it goes like, okay, no kissing, careful with the hand holding, also the ribbing thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just up there casually. Like, it's an issue in New York is all I can imagine. And only New Yorkers know about it.
Everyone in New York is eating everyone's ass. That's it. Welcome to the Bronx. Bend over, please. We've got someone who's gonna lick your butt. By the way, the next person that comes to the Bronx, you've got to eat their butt. It's just how we say hello around here. Welcome to the Bronx.
It's an old tradition from like colonial days that somehow just got missed.
Why didn't they go over that in Gangs of New York? Like, Bill the Butcher and Rim Chopper. What if that was like really what Jack from Titanic and dude from No Country from Old Men, There Will Be Blood, and it has to be those two characters. It's not Bill the Butcher. It's There Will Be Blood and Jack from Titanic, and they're fighting over rimming Cameron Diaz in The Mask. And that's what it's secretly about. They're like, this is how it'll all unfold.
I think that was the rejected sequel.
Yeah, let's just imagine that all those movies happen in the same universe.
They wanted to do the Avengers Marvel Comics thing with it.
I do think that we are, in a very real way, we're looking at one of our previous discussions from the podcast, and that's downloadable content as actors. We're depending now on Netflix. Netflix are the only people who are releasing movies. Amazon Prime, I mean, they've got all this shit in the vault that they're just now releasing. Netflix released, before we get to TK, they just released LA Originals, which is a documentary based on Esteban Oriol and his relationship with a guy named Mr. Cartoon. Mr. Cartoon is a well-known artist and tattoo artist, and he's done a lot of people's record covers and stuff. Esteban Oriol is one of my favorite visual artists. A lot of photography, a lot of video directing, and yeah, they just released a documentary on Netflix. Very cool. LA Originals, check it out. But we have Tiger King. We have all of these movies and TV series that are already available to us. I never got into Ozark before. Guess what? Now I'm into Ozark. Got a lot of time on my hands to watch some shit. But without...
It's one of those only situations in the world where, like, oh, there's only 3 seasons of something?
Oh, yeah. Bummer. However, thank gosh, because you got to believe in gosh in times like these.
It is Easter.
We're looking at... I think downloadable content will be a real big thing in the coming years. You're going to be able to replace everyone in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Kevin Hart. Why not? Because if we are going to go with the Dr. Fauci, and this changes every week, you're not going to be able to hug people ever again, or you can't shake hands, and life won't go back to normal for 18 months, you're still going to need some new, fresh entertainment. So you're going to be able to replace, going back to Gangs of New York. You're going to put yourself in the face of Bill the Butcher, and I could have done that.
No.
But that's I think where the future lies in that. I think you're running out of shit.
When the porn industry starts doing it, then you'll see Hollywood and the major organizations do it like 6 months later.
So my understanding, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on Pornhub every day.
Right, yeah. By the way, shout out to the sponsor.
But I believe deep fake porn has been an issue on there, replacing so and so with so and so.
Yeah, so it's already a thing.
So it's already a thing. Figuring out
and that's the evidence that I don't spend time on Pornhub. I didn't know that was already a thing.
Already a thing. The things you learn.
Yeah. Someone knew it was already a thing.
Somebody. But that's already been a thing there. So it's really then figuring out a way to monetize it. You've got Dr. Fakenstein, I believe it's Control-Alt-Delete on Instagram as well. These YouTube and Instagram cats who are doing deep fake. Maybe you saw the dude from Parks and Recs, the Ron Swanson as everybody in Full House.
I have not seen that, but in 6 hours from now, I will have seen that.
Yeah, true story. But you're gonna see that when it's commercially available to throw in Arnold Schwarzenegger in Free Willy as the little boy. Why not? Yeah, because we're good. We have the technology. Like everything's gonna become the $6 million man. We're gonna live essentially as avatars, and I think that's what it'll be. We're going to like anyone's gonna fucking want to watch the movie, right? We're gonna sit down and we're gonna replace going back to Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I've been on on Netflix a lot lately. And like, I put my baby's face as Clint Eastwood. You should see the whole movie. It's so funny with a baby. Nobody's going to give a shit because anybody can do it and nobody's going to want to. They're going to want to replace everyone and everything with Kevin Hart or Joe Exotic. Simultaneously.
Yeah.
Kevin Exotic. Joe Hart. Joe Hart sounds like a wrestler.
I was gonna make the
Joe is the brother that Brett doesn't talk about.
The one that got him there, but then there was like a separation.
There was a fracture in that relationship, and Joe went on to be a dairy farmer in Quebec.
Yeah.
He wants nothing to do with Brett.
I heard he does like something for like Boys and Girls Club with the wrestling program or something of that nature.
Probably.
It's like really, yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
It's almost innocuous.
Yeah.
Is the term.
But, yeah, no, the falling out was epic.
The falling out was great. That was my favorite part of the breakdown with Joe and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Is that when it got brutal, and because you can't really talk about mom and dad, because it's like, well, your mom's a skis bucket.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. You're both hearts. You come from a foundation.
Yeah.
Some would say a heart foundation.
I love how long you took to build up that joke. The punchline is like a microsecond, but the story to get there was probably 3 minutes.
Easy. But it finally got a laugh. So I can tell you that during the quarantine, I've also sold more merchandise than I ever have before. Yeah, I'm making.
People are just not doing laundry.
Well, that's
It's like, oh, just
you gotta look cool at home for the quarantine, like the Smiling Unabomber shirts, the robot fucking the crab. Those have been big sellers. Those have been popular now. People want to look good when they're stuck at their house, and who can blame them? Because you're social influencing from your couch, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right, unless you're essential, but everyone's essential.
It's kind of. Like, in all of this, I've been thinking about kind of the way, like, money is played into everything and who's essential, who's not essential, and how, like, streamlined or actual legitimately essential, like, we need food, we need water, we need electricity. You probably don't even really need electricity, but I'd like to have it because I got to get my Netflix. But, like, these, like, core things, how streamlined they can actually be. And I'm like, why can't we get robots to do this? Like, and then we as society just create content and enjoy clicking on each other's company.
So let's go to that for a minute.
Yeah.
A lot of our businesses can be replaced by robots, and I think that was what I was trying to go for with McDonald's earlier. Mm-hmm. Is you have people that have feelings and emotions, and then they get slow, and then they get bored, and their mind travels and goes elsewhere. Why wouldn't you just replace that person with a stainless steel fry dropper? It drops the fries, and then it unloads.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because on one end, we want to say like those people that can barely get the frying right, we got to give them a place. They got to work. They got to earn their keep. But on the same token, it's also like, can't we really just like automate this and we just let everyone who doesn't really want to work just goof off and do whatever they do and not really care if they're, like, on one end we feel this need to protect them, on the other end that we feel this need to punish them if they're really not gonna do anything.
So, yeah, allow them to just do their thing anyway.
Which is every YouTuber right now making tens of millions of dollars a year. But
so it's a really interesting. We can go to that. That's a very interesting one because you're looking at like a fake economy, a fake inflated economy, right? And we're just going to inflate it more, giving everyone $1,200.
Yeah.
We're going to devalue paper money that already has way less value than it had 100 years ago.
It's a fiat currency.
I believe that is the term. Yeah, I don't have a good definition for fiat currency. I've only heard kind of James Corbett talk about it.
It's basically money with no backing.
So,
like money on a promise, fake money. Even you can.
I like that. I'd see fiat currency sounds smart and way European. It's a fiat currency.
Yeah, if you say fiat currency, someone will like respect your follow up or whatever your next statement's going to be. But if you go, our money's fake, like the conversation's over.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like saying the economy's fake and it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
But when you say fiat currency, people just assume you have some idea of what you're talking about.
You must have gone to college.
You use big words. It's 4 letters. But yeah, we're seeing a fiat currency being even more devalued because what are people going to spend that money on? Who the fuck knows? And is it really any of our business?
Oddly enough, they're probably going to buy TVs, gigantic flat screen TVs, for their Netflix that were made in China from the money we borrowed from China, from the place that supposedly what crashed our economy came from.
It's a depressing
It's like
game of
just-
I don't want to say it.
just hand them the $2 trillion, or just be like, tell you what, we're gonna borrow another $2 trillion. Don't give it to us, and just add that on it. Think of it as a tip. I don't know. I hope that there's not some kind of silly game like this being played in the world, but
I feel like there probably is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I have less and less faith in people who are providing information and leadership as the days go by. Because I'm realizing that really, I feel like in a lot of ways, we are becoming more accepting of our rights being trampled. And that's all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's part of playing the game. It's part of doing business. If you want to do this kind of work, or anything, you have to have a cell phone. If you have the option to not have the cell phone, which doesn't have the maps, which doesn't have this, which doesn't have that, which isn't tracking all of your movements and selling it. If you don't have a phone and you use maps to navigate, you probably, your chances of having your privacy stolen and jacked and sold to the highest bidder is way lower than a dude with an iPhone and a navigation system in his car.
Siri, how do I get to?
And a computer with a camera that's staring right back at you.
See, that's exactly what they want you to think. But it's been the maps the whole time.
It really has been. It's those guys. This is their slow move back, right? They're playing the long game. This is 8D chess. The map system, the map people, the Rand McNally's of the world, the folks that own the map shops, what they're doing.
The places where you see the printed price on it is $4.75, but someone's put a sticker on it that says $2.99. Those map makers.
It's all started with them.
Yeah.
It started in Wuhan, China, and in effort to get everyone back in the industrial map complex. Topographical maps, nautical maps.
Yeah.
So like, people aren't going to trust their cell phones after this. They're gonna go right back to maps.
That's why
you're gonna go to MapQuest.
Yeah.
Stay off the interwebs, people. Stealing all your info, selling it to people.
Once the map industry booms, the timber industry booms.
We're coming for you, trees. It's all some guy who, I don't know, he was running as a little boy and his foot got caught in like a root or something and he fell. And he's like, from here on out, it's me against the trees.
It's one of those times where his friend walks in front of him and then the branch flips back.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. And he got a wicked scar. And now his motivation is simply to kill the trees. He wants to do the work himself. He spent 18 years logging 1,000 acres in South America by himself with a chainsaw because he just wanted to kill some trees.
Yeah, no, it was like an anti-Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, he was going through, like, I don't know if you ever seen like Shogun Assassin, but if you ever seen Shogun Assassin, or if you haven't seen Shogun Assassin, go watch it. But through this film, he's pushing a baby cart with his son in there, and the baby cart itself is a weapon, and he just randomly gets into fights with like 16 assassins who are sent to kill him, and using his kid's stroller as a weapon. It's fucking awesome. Yeah.
So it's a Wasilla thing.
It's a Wasilla thing.
Yeah.
It's a Valley thing. Which, by the way, the news this week is in the last 7 days, everything changes, right? So, about 7 days ago, they said Wasilla somehow has remained free and clear, and people are fine out in Wasilla. Now it's like Wasilla's the new hot spot. I don't know. People come back from spring break, I'm assuming.
Yeah. all 6 of them.
All 6 of them.
Yeah. No. What's going to be tough with Alaska. I don't know who you monitor, because they, if you watch our news, they're like, hey, here's what's happening in the United States. There's a little bit of a space gap and population gap and just per capita gap between us and, say, New York City. Not let alone the whole entire state of New York. So you're watching all this like terrifying New York stats, and a governor just like begging for respirators and things like that from the federal government, and cautioning his people and telling everyone that okay, it's gotten this bad, okay, it's starting to level off. And it's like you kind of gauge your life like that. Like, I've seen a lot of the decisions the state made. Seems like it was as if we were New York. But there's definitely going to be a huge delay between when New York's the hot zone, as they say, or when Alaska's going to be the hot zone. So I'm like, shouldn't we be monitoring like the Yukon territory or areas of Canada that are kind of more our climate, or I don't know.
Well, we also live differently than they do in New York
Yeah.
City. We don't live in buildings of 10,000 people, skyscrapers. We don't.
All sharing the same ventilation
All
system.
sharing the same ventilation, the same elevator, the same way you get up the stairs, same way you get down the stairs. We go. I don't want to say we go on more walks, but you don't see.
You'd have to just to get to your car.
You'd have to just go to absolutely. But these aren't like fresh air walks.
Yeah.
Like there's all the shit in the air in the city. I don't know if you saw in some of the pictures coming out of Los Angeles. The sky in Los Angeles is clear. It's been a smog shithole since forever. You're seeing nature return. I guess fish are now swimming through Venice.
Crazy.
Yeah, you're seeing nature come back. Whether we get that full on the lions are out of the zoo in was it not I Heart Zombies, I Am Legend, which would be I think a bit more entertaining. I think more tigers should be let out.
I'm sad that the urban tiger isn't really just a thing. Like pigeons, like the tigers.
Oh, just a random tiger walking out.
Don't feed
the
it. Don't feed
tiger.
it. See, now he's gonna follow you home. Yeah.
And that's how you end up with a pet tiger. It's not like a drug dealer who wanted tigers.
No, no, not at all.
Now there is when I lived in Spokane, and I guess this is the story. I'm not 100% on this, but they had kind of a big cat rescue thing, and these were big cats that were like rescued from drug dealers.
Yeah.
So, but you don't have if tigers are $2,000, right? You don't have to be a drug dealer to have a tiger. It's just cooler if you're a drug dealer to have a tiger. But if you're like Alan the accountant, and you've got a fucking tiger,
it was a good dividend this year.
Yeah, it was a great dividend this year, and we did a lot of moose hunting, so I got a lot of leftover shit for the tiger. But he's just a real cool tiger, just real chill. His name's Earl. We hang out. He lets me. My daughter rides him. 5 years later, I miss my daughter, but we had a good run with the tiger. Anyway, now that tiger's in Spokane.
Looking at getting another one.
Now, have you seen Tiger King?
I have.
Okay, so I think the Tiger King. I'm off of Facebook for the time being. Is the Tiger King wave still rolling, or has it slowed down?
slipping into a streaming services and chill moment here.
Yeah, it's important. We got to talk about this.
Yeah, I will say there's been a slight. We've hit the apex of the Tiger King memes, and we're hoping here soon we're going to see a decline. There still may be more deaths for a while, but there will be a decline in the Tiger King memes.
So is that how we'll end up gauging this pandemic? By like when the Tiger King memes were hot? Well, but you brought this one up. What if maybe it was me? I don't remember.
If it's brilliant, it was.
It was probably you. What if all of this was started by Netflix to sell Tiger Kings? But here's the other thing, because it leads into the bigger Bill Gates, World Health Organization, vaccinations, and a lot of there's some really deep conspiracy stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people are pretty well versed on that. If you're not, there's some really good shortcuts to get all the good conspiracies. Just start Googling. Just don't hit up Google. Hit up DuckDuckGo, and also hit up YouTube's for some good videos relating to the COVID-19 coronavirus conspiracy. There are better places for that than this. However, ladies and gents, if Bill Gates does in fact have a piece of the documentary Pandemic, which came out on Netflix, which relied heavily on World Health Organization documentation, if all of that was to prep people and get people scared for what was coming, well, then that was just a whole bunch of propaganda, right? And the propaganda is there to scare us. What if?
Fear is effective.
Fear is absolutely effective. I don't want to say that the last month or so we as a world have been governed by fear, but we've kind of been governed by fear.
I think absolutely we have.
But
it's only just beginning.
Oh, it's going to get so much better. Because people are very much going to sacrifice a lot of their freedoms. And they are going to accept it. They're the invisible ink tattoo to show you that I'm immune from this particular strain of COVID. What happens when the next shit? You're just going to get them the mark?
Yeah.
You're just going to,
We'll
shit.
put it on the real ID.
Yeah. Well, so that, we know where you are at all the fucking times. We're just going to put the implant. Listen, it's not, you're not even going to feel it. We're going to put the implant.
If you were to go missing.
Your kids won't know. Your kids won't even notice. They won't even notice. And that's where we're at. Like, that's where we're going. That's not where we're at. I'm afraid that's where we're going. But I go back to this being pushed by Netflix and the World Health Organization and Bill and Melinda Gates in a secret effort to gain a presidential pardon for Joseph Exotic.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of what everyone's figured out at this point, right?
I think that it's the only reasonable.
Yeah. No, I mean that's
thing to go with. It's the only thing I can think of that makes sense.
I don't think people realize how deep Joe was in.
So, and let's tie him to other
Tigers. Tiger deep.
Who's buying tigers? We went over this earlier. Drug dealers. Who?
Maybe a congressman here or there.
Oh shit! Did you see the photo of Doc Antle and Don Young?
No.
Yeah.
See?
Doc Antle going up to Capitol Hill, letting Don Young play with a tiger. Just saying, it's there.
Yeah.
This is all in an effort, clearly, to free Joe Exotic. There's no other reasonable. It's to sell your favorite actor as downloadable content. They're not even people anymore. These actors are going to sell their likenesses to studios, and they'll make a shit ton of money, but you won't own your image anymore. All right, you'll have, and let's say The Rock sells his likeness to this business for 10 fucking infinity number, right? That company can then, I'm sure they'll have lots of things that you're not allowed to, you can't put my face on gay porn. Well, then that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah,
the first downloadable content is going to be The Rock fucking The Rock's face. and it's
like I said, is always like for technology or anything, look at the porn industry and then wait about 4 months.
Yeah, they decided we were going to Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.